I released every single player from every single Premier League club. All 20 of them are now free agents. And yes, you may guess rightly, that means every single Premier League club, which does already exist, has no real-life players at it. Let's take Arsenal, for example. When I do click on their squad, none of these are great. They're all under 65 rated. As yes, people, the Premier League has gone under, and I'm going to be in charge of the FA Sim 10 seasons and see what happens to every single Premier League club. As yes, people, here we are. Welcome to a new kind of video. Now, I have done videos in the past where I can only sign free agents. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there is 4. But this time we've took it bigger. We've released every single player in the Premier League. We're not going to take over any in particular, but this is the Wolverhampton squad. I've filled with academy players, so yes, they're all young. Yes, there might be a good one in here, but the free agents from lower countries, like we've got one from San Marino, there's England, of course, there's Croatia, but you get the point of the video. They're all players that shouldn't grow high. As like I just said, we're going to sim 10 seasons, see if money is everything. Because each club doesn't have much money, because I put 90 million into each team because that 90 million was enough to pay for 3 academy rounds, get the players in, and then release the players. For example, at Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold's a free agent, Bukayo Saka is now a free agent, and I think you get the gist of this, really. We're going to see who wins what. We're going to see if there's any shocks, what happens with promotion and relegation with these teams. As Spezia is going to be my manager's destination, so we don't touch the rebuild of each club at all. We let them do whatever they want to do. As season number 1, well, I'm still stuck in Italy because I'm actually quite proud of winning the promotion playoff title.
That tastes like promotion!
Not something I expected, but still, we're back in England, and I'm going to start with the scorers, the assisters, see if anybody's moved, because it looks like the youngsters are given the opportunity with Brian Wright, the Canadian, at the top. We've got someone on there from Fiji. Is that Uzbekistan right there? We've got Kazakhstan, I know that one. Iceland, few English, Colombian, Argentinian. As I think season number 1, teams are scared to sign players. As also, that's another thing, players can't rejoin the club they've just left immediately. But then we've got some movement in terms of goalkeepers, because it looks like West Ham, Liverpool, and Man United's bought them. Piers Charles is a good one as well to get for Liverpool because he's quite young. Yeah, goalkeepers, okay. We've got Dennis Dillman at Everton. Looks like most clubs can't afford to buy players, as we're in charge of Aston Villa. Now, I've flicked back to the country, and they have made a few signings extra. I'm not going to go through every club, but O'Reilly is one of them. We've got Clift, Asnar, because these clubs don't have money at the moment. Can't forget we did actually skint them, but there's players like Bukayo Saka still available, because these players can also move abroad to clubs. Unfortunately, because I think I moved clubs, I can't see the transfer history, but we'll check in future what moves are happening from club to club, as the Premier League still looks like normal. Manchester City on top. Okay, the top 7 are usual. There's one of them dropped out, though, isn't there? Because near the bottom of the league. Oh, no, we're completely correct. And yep, the teams that look like going down in real life, apart from Forest, I did say it, are the teams that actually go down. So Leicester's been helped by this rebuild. What about cups, though? Hang on. Liverpool have won the FA Cup. With all the youngsters they have, they should stand no chance at all. As then Chelsea win the Carabao. How are these teams still beating teams from below? I'm going to have to check their squads, but honestly, how? Doesn't make sense to me. As let's check Liverpool's squad. Okay, they've signed a 65 rated. Piers Charles is that goalkeeper they've signed from Sheffield Wednesday. And then they've gone for some free agents themselves, like Gaber. Oh my days. Still, it's amazing how they've actually gone and won it. They've got Remy Matthews from Crystal Palace. But how? How have they won the FA Cup still? Season 1 acting kind of sus, but now we're getting somewhere. As I'm seeing the theme of the lower teams actually who got promoted from the division below. That being Burnley, Middlesbrough, and Leeds United have top scorers. Jovic is on top. Cole Palmer, though, went back to Chelsea.
What?
Some interesting submissions. Declan Rice now at Manchester United. Jorginho Rutter back at Leeds, our top assister. And the goalkeeper, Ignacio Suarez, is now at Chelsea. I like how all the goalkeepers have gone. Alisson going to Crystal Palace. Interesting as now I've switched clubs at the correct time. We do get to see some transfers. Right, Tariq Lamptey gone on a free. Joe Willock, Udinese. I've still got to keep skipping through this way though, which is stupid, but a lot of ex-Premier League players going abroad. As there's the big one, Rodri. He's actually stayed in England. He's gone to Tottenham, which is stupid because the same happened in our Tottenham save. Or when we randomise the Premier League, because that's also available on the channel. If you're new around here, please do hit that like button and subscribe. Or if you've been around a while, thank you very much for watching. Maybe you want more of these videos because now the madness is starting to happen. Newcastle down, West Ham, Manchester City below us, Spurs in 11th, Man United in 10th, and yes, the Championship clubs. They're the ones doing the best now. We've got Leeds winning the Premier League, Burnley joint on points still, and Middlesbrough in the top 4. Winning the Premier League, complete anomaly now. It's not Chelsea and Liverpool. Oh, sorry, the FA Cup. Leeds United beating Charlton Athletic. Then we've got a Championship club, Sheffield United beating Hull City. This now telling me that Championship clubs are going to be a threat going forward, as I don't think we need to check continental competition anytime soon, at least, because Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City down there. As speaking of down there, Ipswich have just survived relegation in the Championship as Forest and Saints are going to League One. And of course I had to check the Brighton man. I didn't do that, but that was a shock. As what's a shock as well is Burnley signing Skamaka, and they already have Jovic. Is that the strike partnership to take the league away from Leeds United? Why is it that they've got all the money though? Brennan Johnson's gone to Aston Villa, who we keep controlling. And then again, loads of players from the promoted clubs. Cole Palmer's even a flop. As, hang on a minute, we're on assists here. Alisson showing up with 7. What is happening in this save? It's unreal because he's not even on the clean sheet list. It's the Burnley keeper. And at least we might see Wolves again because Wolves have a player on that list. Hopefully keeping the derby alive as they are making signings, Aston Villa, as down here, 3 more. They're not going in the first team, but Sharda, Davis and Brennan Johnson, surprisingly enough, they wasn't here last season, meaning they've literally just joined. And a lot of players must still be free agents. As let's have a look-see, shall we? And I think I've found a way to see the free agents only. Here we are, but only 2 on that list. Oh, never mind. There's some down here as well. Tyler Adams, an ex-Premier League player. We're just looking for names that stand out. There's Ndidi, Sterling, we've just gone past, Dean Henderson, John McGinn. Noddy Madueke's gone to Real Madrid. They're not still moving to England, so that's rather concerning for the English teams. Don't understand that at all, as if you do want me to go through each team individually, stay tuned because I am going to do that. We're going to check all the squads once all the free agents are gone. As this year, like I said, Burnley, they run away with the league. Sheffield United, Hull, then Leeds, then Borough, and then eventually Chelsea prop up the table. I don't know what's happening here as well because these clubs should be signing players relegated. Brighton, Fulham, and West Brom. But Spurs won 1 point off it. Man United and Liverpool literally survive 4 goals between them all. That is crazy work as the FA Cup is getting spicy now because Leeds United have done the double. They have retained their status. Crystal Palace have won the Carabao over Wolves. This is very interesting to see. As Champions League kind of expectable, but then again Leeds United have picked up 3 wins out of 8. Well in to the Whites. And Middlesbrough, because they only just got beaten by Barcelona. Crystal Palace beaten by Porto and Leeds beaten by Juve. Maybe it is worth checking Europe, but in the Europa League, Fulham and Liverpool fail. And we had no teams in the conference, as it's going to be Stoke and Norwich City this year. Joining us as this year, Newcastle United near to relegation. They just sink like stones. Ipswich go down. Leicester rock bottom. And then in League One, I can't believe I'm having to check this. I didn't think they'd go this far down. Forest are in 5th, so they're in the playoffs, but then Southampton in 12th, and I believe that was it. Hey, Grimsby, in League One. I like it. And I do think I'm onto something. You guys can't tell me otherwise. How on earth has Sudakov ended up at Leeds United? Bizarre to me. Kaminsky at Hull, signs already at Norwich. Brennan Johnson and Sade, get in there. Doing well at the club I keep flicking to. I saw David Brooks then at Stoke, because it looks like Leeds United are going to walk the league this year. Although Burnley, like real life, like the clean sheets. As every released player must have gone abroad. I don't see them anywhere. Again, we'll check the squads very closely at the end, as this is the league table. Leeds walk it now, then Hull City, Sheffield United. It's so funny how the championship clubs are doing now, as Manchester City sit 4th, so they're still competing somehow. I don't get what the Premier League clubs are doing, as Bournemouth, Brentford, and Declan Rice's Manchester United
Ow, just bit the sink in my fucking mouth.
are relegated. They're done, and still get shocks in the FA Cup, because it's Burnley over Chelsea, who should have the bigger budget. Todd Bowley hasn't done it for nothing. He's still got all that money, as Leeds didn't win it. However, they did win the Carabao Cup in a Yorkshire derby against Hull City. As speaking of Leeds, Champions League football again for them, as has anyone qualified? Ooh, Sheffield United might have just... I don't know, though. They did. They actually got Paris Saint-Germain, and they were hammered. So no luck in that one, but Chelsea come 5th in the Europa League. I think they did win a trophy. I can't remember. There's no one else. How come Leeds were in this competition? I thought they would be in the Champions League, as Chelsea lose to Feyenoord 4-2 on aggregate. And Crystal Palace did get through in the Conference League, but lost to Cracovia. They can do it in the league, but then when it's time to go European, they cannot, as there's an anomaly. West Brom and Fulham look like they'll come back up, as Brighton do the boing boing down the leagues. Newcastle still struggling, and Ipswich have turned it around. Same as Southampton, same as Nottingham Forest a little bit. Leicester City down there. Was there another club? I don't think so. No. So it looks like they are sticking in League One. No one going to League One at the moment, but a team that might be doing is this Manchester United team. I'm quickly flicking through. Just got relegated. And genuinely, this is crazy now. Crazy the money they're spending. Brian Zaragoza, Sudakov, Balogun. Josh Meisner was always at that club. We've got Adley at Norwich City. At least there's Mbolo. At least Chelsea are still going for it. They're not cooked, as then there's a lot of Leeds, Sheffield United, and Hull City. It is a Yorkshire takeover, and I am actually from Yorkshire, so I don't mind it. And I never thought releasing all the players would have this effect, as now we can't use Aston Villa anymore because they are going to get relegated alongside Wolverhampton, so it's still going to be fun because they'll still have their derby. City and Arsenal and Spurs still here, Liverpool and Chelsea, as it's Hull City's turn to win the Premier League, with Leeds in 2nd, Norwich in 3rd, Burnley in 4th. Excited to see these clubs when we do check all the ratings, as the FA Cup winner this year, Sunderland, finally overtaking the Geordies, as the trophy they won goes to Bristol City now over Leeds. And we will actually check the transfers this year. I forgot about that last year, as Leeds United now in the Champions League, and they are the only team progressing, and I'd think they would with their team, but they're still stopped by Olympique Marseille. Favourable draw for them, as no team can get through. Sheffield United and Hull City fail. However, Burnley do break the molds. They've beaten Mainz over 2 legs. However, then they get to lose, and they just lose themselves, leaving Manchester City to do us proud in the conference. And they can't even leave us proud anyway, because they lose to Augsburg 5-2 in a shocking display, as we're still seeing some of them Premier League players as free agents. Odysseus Vlachodimos, Sasa Kalajic. But why didn't Wolves just re-sign? It could have literally saved them from getting relegated. As how's Manchester United done in the Championship? They will be rejoining us. Newcastle having a better season. Sunderland are winners of the Championship, or Carabao Cup should I say, doing well as relegated. Ipswich, oh my days, they're not having a good time of it. As what about the teams in League One? Right, Brighton and Forest on the come up. Southampton miss out on the playoffs. Then we've got Leicester City in them. Will we see them again in the Premier League in the next 5 years. And now we're halfway through, we're going to take probably a bigger pit stop, taking over Man City, who we should get a look at their team. This is going to be fun. Right, who have they signed? Right, all youngsters. There's a goalkeeper right here in Lionel, 27. Van Dijk is rotting here. There's a lot of weird signings. They should have the money for better, as if we put these in a squad. This right here would be Manchester City's best 11, and I only spot 2 players that make the starting 11 who were free agents. Tyra starts at Everton, I believe. Luis Diao starts at West Ham, who ultimately did get a relegation, but where did Manchester City's players go? Let's look for the main ones. Erling Haaland, he's now a Barcelona player. Phil Foden is the same. And Rodri's moved from Tottenham. He's ended up going to Atletico Bilbao. As like I said, major pit stop. I do want to check the other teams like Barcelona, see if they've got any of the good players. Garnacho, Haaland and Foden themselves. Cole Palmer's finally left Chelsea. Janel Kwanzaa is 83 rated. What is he doing at Barcelona? Weird one is now Real Madrid. They've got to have took someone as well. I'm not seeing many so far. In fact, oh, there we go, defenders. Cristiano Romero, William Saliba, any more? No, Vinny Jr. is still there, 94 overall. Unfortunately, I don't think any of our clubs stand a chance at winning any European competitions when the other countries look like that, as now the top scorers are looking fairly the same. Assisters, well, there's some new faces. Ruben Neves is back. And Aaron Ramsdale, he's now the goalkeeper of Middlesbrough. Brilliant signing for them, and he's actually won a Premier League title. He goes and does it here, which he couldn't do with Arsenal. Then Chelsea in 7th, Man City in 8th, and Swansea underneath them, Sunderland above them. It's weird this league is going down. United finish rock bottom this time. Liverpool are always clinging on, and Leeds United look the dominant team. Here in England, as guess what? They've done the double, beating 2 Birmingham-based clubs. And I'm praying that means success in the Champions League. They might have a good squad, but none of our teams actually make it. Maybe we've got to go through qualifying rounds now. Ruined our coefficient spots. Paris in the Europa League. Hull City finishing 6th. And Sunderland in 17th. Let's not forget they were in the Championship, as Torino absolutely hammered them, and now Hull City go ahead and get revenge for them beating Torino. But then they draw Juventus. There was absolutely no chance there. And no chance for Leeds United as they lose to Young Boys. Bristol City go through. Again another Championship team, but then they lose to Fiorentina. One day, just one day, we will have a club winning Europe from this challenge, as Newcastle finally back up in the Prem, as Aston Villa, who we usually picked, relegated with Brighton and Everton. And I think I may have just made the mistake of saying this is season number 6, because it's not. It's 7, and Marco Graf, we're controlling Manchester City again, is the top scorer. We've got Tyreek George breaking through, Santiago Jimenez, another big player at Leeds United. Evan Ferguson was at Hull City. That's incredible, as Tom Cannon's having a good season. As goalkeepers, Trafford now not at Burnley. It was Hermadsen there, as now we're switching it up, because in League 2, I never checked League 1 at the bottom, but last year Ipswich Town did get relegated. They go up though this time with my club Grimsby Town, as I've got to be sure I check every league. Brighton win promotion, Southampton and Everton not doing the same. I don't believe there's any other teams. No, there isn't, to get relegated. However, in the Championship, Leicester City really have been struggling. They're going back down. Now Manchester United in 11th, Wolves Forest. A lot of the teams struggling still, as West Ham are coming back, but then another big gun's going down. Liverpool's turn, and Crystal Palace were doing decently till very late on. I mean, they did win 8 games, more than a few teams around here. Chelsea survive, we survive. Spurs have been quietly just surviving, as well as Burnley win the league. Arsenal, though, now they've jumped back into the Champions League with this team. Okay, you can see they've got some decent ratings. An 80 rated Milo Horemans? Who are they signing? Honestly, I'm so shocked no Premier League teams took Cole Palmer back on, Erling Haaland back on at some point. The money has literally evaporated, as Leeds United are the biggest beneficiaries out of this challenge. That's about the 6th title? Might be wrong on that, and they were just beaten on penalties in the Carabao Cup by Burnley, the teams in the Champions League. Usually, as have we got our coefficient spots back? No, we don't. We've got no team partaking in Europe.
Boring.
Or the top flight of Europe. We've got Leeds United in 15th in the Premier League, or Europa League, sorry. Burnley in 22nd. As Leeds beat Fenerbahce, so Mourinho beaten by those, as Burnley are at the top right there. They got beaten by Osasuna, and Leeds soon to be kicked out. A difficult draw in Naples sees them go home, as at least we've got teams through in the Europa Conference, and through again. I mean, Hull City's beat Celtic, but then as we reach the quarterfinals, both Hull and Norwich are done. As season 8 now, and I think it is time we expect the regens like Graf, like Johanovic, and Mohamed Dalhani maybe, I don't know. But yeah, because we're so far into the future, even Evan Ferguson popping out at Hull City because they're only youngsters. Available now, Noah Okafor still going, Hamilton, Bassett. As in assists, one of our players, Samuel Giovanni. I say one of ours, just because I'm in charge of Manchester City and I keep picking them as the clean sheet holder. James Trafford for Leeds United, so I think this is a Leeds United dominated video. Just know everything was done fairly because we released every player from the Premier League clubs, as I'm trying to count how many Premier League teams there is there. They're all Championship, right? We've got Chelsea, Man City, West Ham, and Spurs. We've got 4 remaining because all 3 current Premier League teams relegated, and last year Arsenal were in the Champions League. It shows how quick this can change as Tottenham win the FA Cup, Burnley win the Carabao, and now we're going to check the Championship as Liverpool and Swansea dominate. Fulham have always been in 2nd or 3rd in the Championship, I swear, as Manchester United in 10th. Aston Villa going down again to this league, which Leicester City might get out of permanently. Who knows? Everton in there. Ipswich Town, a 14. They are still the lowest club. And let's check some transfers. Not even free agents. Where's some real-life players gone who were in the Prem? Jurgensen, he's there. He must have been at Stade Rennais with Ashley Phillips. On his way back to the Premier League, as Leeds United have signed Ibrahima Konate. Yeah, they've got money from somewhere. Aston Villa sold Brennan Johnson, who we had there. And in 2 of the most expensive moves of the window, Odegaard and Mainu, still avoiding the turmoil both of their clubs are in at the moment. They will both be in the Championship, as please tell me a Champions League team. There is 2 actually, Burnley and Leeds United. Getting our coefficient spots back, as Leeds United in fact beating Paris Saint-Germain and Burnley losing to Lille, unfortunately so, as where's Leeds? Oh my days, they beat Paris to lose to Feyenoord.
Son, we're f***ing 2-0 down to the f***ing Mexican.
Horrific news as Sheffield United again through into the playoffs of the Europa, but decimated 8-3 by Monaco. Slightly embarrassing that, and none of us best teams in the conference. Sunderland, there we go, in 11th, so they still have a qualifying round? I believe so, had to think about that, and they actually went ahead and won it. And then they beat Panathinaikos before the quarterfinals, beating Trabzonspor. And oh my days, they've beaten Valencia. This could be it, the first trophy. And we skip to the side. Remember, I said a lot of good players were at Stade Rennais as they win the Conference League, beating the Black Cats 2-0. And okay, it is penultimate season time at the moment. Leeds United. I think I've done enough praising of them. Same with Hull City, Sheffield United, Watford have been up there quite a bit, Luton the same as now, Manchester City and Liverpool safe. And I was so excited to see their team because how dominant they were, but Burnley somehow jumping into relegation, literally from the Champions League straight to the Championship in the biggest fall off of grace I have ever seen, as Leeds win the FA Cup again, Sunderland win this trophy, the Carabao, which they've won before, maybe putting them back in the conference, and maybe next time in the final season they could actually win it, as Chelsea have finally got a top scorer and Man City have at the moment. We'll check him in the squad in just a second. As yes, Chelsea on the comeback, Maxime de Kuipia looks a brilliant player, and there is Franco Israel, the goalkeeper, goalkeeper, James Trafford looks to have disappeared. He's been dusted as before the Champions League. He's a right mid at left back. Of course, I don't fiddle with the teams at all, but Bankole getting a lot of goals. I'm so excited to see all the teams, man, when we list them out at the end, as Leeds United still, they're getting creepingly better in the Champions League. Or creeping up, I should say, but Napoli, they're the team that stop every side. However, it is Rangers stopping Hull City, our only Europa League team. And Sheffield United actually go and win a group easily. But then literally in the first round after, they go ahead and lose on penalties to Hearts. Scottish teams ruining us in Europe, but this is the final year of releasing all the teams, so let's see what's happened in the 10 seasons. Starting with Team Watch, this is Manchester City's, the team we have took over mostly. 280 rated players in Bankole and Brito. As the next team in the Premier League is Preston North End, and this is what their starting 11 looks like. I do recognise one released player from before, as now Liverpool are a little bit different. I don't recognise anybody released from the Prem in this team. They do have a decent defence, I'd say. And this is Newcastle, yet again, one of the Premier League starters, and I don't see any good players in it. A lot of low 70 rated. For the Premier League, I don't understand why they just didn't go and get a Martin Odegaard or someone of his quality, as he was an ex-Arsenal player, and this is the Arsenal team. I do recognise Sekou Mara, the striker, as someone who could have been replaced, as this is Fulham. Now, I think Fulham look the best so far. They've got a solid striker, Azon from Spain. And West Bromwich Albion now, this is where it gets interesting, because I'm looking at their team, and I'm actually seeing only one ex-Prem player. Max Aarons they must have got, although he is 34 there. And actually, no, make it 2. Dan Jebberson, another Bournemouth player, who looked part of a solid team. And this looks a very solid team. It's West Ham United. I don't think they've got any OG Prem players, but they did have an 89 rated winger, as this is Cardiff City. They've kept a couple of current players, and Kwanzaa is the big addition here. Part of the midfield, and I'm actually seeing a theme of no Premier League players. We are going to check where all the Premier League players have gone after the teams. As this is Watford, players out of position, but fairly decent rated overall. Still waiting on that shock of seeing ex-Premier League players in all these teams, but this is Stoke City, and Stoke City have kept some real-life players as well. And it feels like every team's just getting better, because this is Swansea City, a very good midfield, but none of their midfielders being released from the Premier League. Frustratingly, and Coventry have built themselves a decent club, and I actually do spot one. We've got Nathan Collins in their defensive line, and the team that almost did the impossible, going ahead and winning a trophy. Well, they do have a player called Kane, but it's not Harry Kane. And also Bradley Barcola playing for them. A bit of a weird one, as here's Luton, and I do spot Kadioglu there. As here's Hull, a team that did really well, all save, and I gotta say, finally some Premier League players. We've got 4 in the starting 11. This is where Wharton went. This is where McAllister went. It's nice to see. And then also on the bench, Howard Bellis, Potter, Nioni, they're Prem players. Looks like when the Premier League releases their players, the Championship like to strike and really make it hard for teams. But finally, a new Premier League club in Chelsea. I say new because I'm thinking of the Championship. It's actually a current Premier League club with Rasmus Højlund up front, and then this winger, Cartoonen, looking unreal, as a few here. In Middlesbrough's Premier League squad, we've got Sarr, Kumas, Traore, and Leif Davis. Nice to see him still knocking about. And now we're on to the 2 joint best teams, all saving Sheffield United first before Leeds United. And this is good, because they've grown Premier League players that were released, like Golding. He's a player in real life playing for Leicester City in their reserves. And finally, well, wow, Leeds United jumped at the chance to steal a lot of decent growing players. Savinio, Beleba, Hutchinson's on a wing. There's a Rauho in the defense, Kulusevski, and then also on the bench, there's Kanate, 87 rated. I've got to say, fair dues to Sheffield United for putting up a fight with them for that long, as they did win the Premier League. This has kind of been the Leeds United show, despite me meaning it to be about releasing players. We're going to get back to that in a second, but look This is the Premier League. I went up in order because Liverpool and City relegated, which is mental, as Chelsea do with the Community Shield over Leeds. And the FA Cup won by Sunderland, so that team does get their trophy again. And they're running a cup competition, as Norwich City soar to the Carabao. And have we finally got a team doing well in Europe from England this season? Well, in the Champions League, it's a no, because Leeds United didn't qualify from the league phase, but Hull City did in the Europa League. I don't know if they're joined. They are by Sheffield United, who were narrowly beaten by Porto before Hull City actually beat Basel and did beat KAA Ghent. However, it's not going to be a trophy. It's just not their time yet. Look how close that was, losing on penalties after losing 4-3 to Atletico Madrid. But Sunderland finally beat a Scottish club, however lose to RC Lens, so they won't get their shot again at a trophy that they did before. And I can't see the recent transfers, but over on the transfer hub, actually, give me a second for this. I went ahead and scouted the best leagues around the world, which isn't the Premier League, to see where them Premier League players did go in 10 years. Can't see what they did with their careers overall, but Haaland 92, Palmer 91, Odegaard, Santos, he's a big surprise for me. A Chelsea youngster at kind of their branched out club, Strasbourg in real life, which is a really weird one, as I'm going to skip through, see if I see any other exceptions. Nowhere living up to potential. This is actually the season after I've just looked at. Mickey Moore's actually doing well. He's actually the same rating and competing with Garnacho at Barcelona, then Branthwaite's at Alaves, Trent at Union Berlin. I'll keep on skipping down this list. If you do want to pause it, be my guest. Players like Harrison Armstrong coming very good at Frankfurt. This has been really fun, releasing everybody in the Premier League. Maybe I'll try it with the Championship. Maybe I'll try it with a league abroad, or maybe I try doing the video differently. But if you did enjoy, leave a like, comment what should be different, and click these for rebuild video.